Hey guys, back again with another episode of Craft Tea. We got another great guest. We have a crafter this time instead of industry leader like we usually have. So Nancy joined us and we got into all different topics crafting and how she got there, the struggles of being a crafter, and it got like really good. So definitely watch this one. For real though.
Well, as you can see, we're still having tea.
Hey guys, welcome back to Craft Tea. We're at episode 41 now. We have hit the hump and surpassed it. I feel we are rapidly approaching a year.
40's the hump.
It's a, the 10. It's a 10. It's a good one. Whatever. But, 52 is coming quick.
I was about to say what's 52, but I get it.
A year.
I get it.
Anyway, so we have a guest again. We have Nancy Chatterjee. Thank you for that. But you guys probably know her more as Fancy Nancy. And please, Nancy, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you like to do.
Well, hello. My name is Nancy, better known as Fancy Nancy on all of my social media. I am a crafter, artist, whatever you choose. I have been crafting most of my life. It's just been something that's always been part of my life. And I took a break from it when I actually went to work on my career. If you don't know, I am an RN by profession.
I wanted to ask, and I forget.
Yeah, so I actually took a break from that, from all of my crafting to focus on my career for a while. And I realized during that profession that I actually really needed to go back to crafting because for me, it's all about my mental health. And my art and my craft was what really, it's my salvation. It's what keeps me sane most days. That's my outlet. I don't necessarily consider myself an introvert, but it's becoming more and more obvious. And I'm the individual that really enjoys my solitude, and I can totally vibe out with my crafts and an audiobook. And I'm totally happy, and I can sit there for hours. So I have done just about everything that you can think of when it comes to arts and crafts. My craft room is overflowing with all of the things that I wanted to experiment and I've left behind because I was like, okay, I'm done.
I think I saw you post recently or comment on someone's thing recently that you have like 17 open projects right now or something like that.
That's just tumblers. Yeah, that's just tumblers.
That's just the tumblers.
And that's just what's been started in the last 30 days. I probably have a full graveyard of projects that I've started and haven't finished, but I've started 17 cups just in the last, and those are all 3D, by the way.
I like that you say graveyard.
Those 17 are ones that you plan to finish, but there's far more that are maybe not so much in the plans anymore.
Right, exactly. So I get all of these ideas and I'm excited to start them and I get stuck on something. I'm like, okay, let's move on to the next project.
That's me.
And it also like time too, because if it's like season specific and the season has, and then for us, the season is advanced, right? Like Christmas stuff, we have another week or so of making that legitimately. And then you got to start really kind of thinking beyond Christmas because maybe you could probably do a couple last minute rush things, but for sculpting and three-dimensional stuff, much more time consuming. That's not something that's like, crank out 10 three-dimensional tumblers in the next week.
I know.
You, but
I was gonna say
you.
I have all of these ideas that I wanted to do for Christmas, all of these wonderful ideas that I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be so awesome. And you start working on it and then you get all these other ideas. I'm like, oh, I didn't do the things I really wanted to do. And here we are approaching. And I'm like, yeah, by the time I get it done and take photos and, post it online, we're going to be well into the new year. I'm a procrastinator.
That's what you nailed the Dr. Seuss tree.
Oh, thank you.
Way ahead, I feel like, of schedule. That one was one that's just like, okay, that kind of like set the tone for crafts in the Christmas season. Like, all right, well, if you're not making something at least as good as this, you better get back to the drawing board.
Then you missed the one before that because I actually did a nightmare Christmas tree before that. It was all black and it's got a black and white worm and it's got skulls on it. That was like
Yeah.
the edge of Halloween and Christmas. It was like you got the vibe of both. That was my first Christmas tree.
Bridging the gap. That's awesome. I love what is being done with the trees. Like especially, you know, I've seen the ones that you took the little lights and hollowed them out and then like filled them with the like glow powder and resin and used that. I was like, just like the thought processes that are going into this is just so crazy. And I feel like it's due to people like you that are raising the bar so high that everyone else is just looking at it like, well, I can't just paint the damn tree. But you can. You definitely can. It'll look awesome.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
But then when they look at it and then they see like a Nancy poster, like, okay, I didn't know my tree could twist and turn. This is
The gingerbread tree is amazing. I just went to see if you put the nightmare tree on there, but I don't see it on your Instagram. But that gingerbread tree is killing it.
Thank you. It's in Dimensional Drinks, and it might be in
yes, I did see it.
one of the other groups, but it's kind of at that final phase where it's like, okay, it's ready for its final coat of epoxy, and it gets set on the table, and I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm happy with it. Should I post it or not? I go through this with every single cup. That's where I procrastinate, finalizing the piece.
I'm right there with you. I'm still working on my pumpkin cups, so there's that. And my ghost has like half resin on it. Like
Yeah, we're all well aware of like the progress of my rhinestone pumpkin, and that is now the 2024 rhinestone pumpkin, and it's half done. So that's the way I look at it now. You know, like I
Hey.
started 2024's pumpkin.
At least it'll be ready for fall next year.
there's no reason he can't stop. He can't finish it now, tonight.
Because now
actually.
it's a waste of my time because I'm past the season and I'm not promoting something anymore. It should be for me like more food for my soul to finish it. But realistically, I'm not going to walk around using this thing when it's Christmas season. I want to use the
Right.
Christmas tree one or the bear, the freaking bear. She made a Care Bear.
Oh, I bought it.
Look how pretty.
I love his toes.
You love his toes?
Yeah, you gave him toe beans. He doesn't come with
I
toe
did.
It
beans.
doesn't come with toe beans.
No, I brought the sleeve just in case. So there's no toe beans.
That's why I
Wait,
love
the
when you're
other
like, yeah, you have modified mine. Sorry.
The other one's a sleeve, right? You didn't
Yeah.
just
Which one?
make the bear.
No, that's a sleeve. But she
Yeah,
posted,
yeah,
she's like,
no,
I modified it
gosh.
like slightly, and I was
Right.
looking at it. I'm like, what did she
Yeah.
modify? I was like, they've got toe beans.
I love the toe beans.
I do too. I do too. That was the first thing I saw when I saw the sleeve. I'm like, oh my gosh. Initially I was like uninspired. I'm like, oh, it's a cute little teddy bear for Christmas. I'll just paint it brown with ribbons. And I'm like, that's what everyone's going to be doing. What can I do differently? I'm always trying to push myself out of the box, and I try to do things that are usually unexpected.
Sure.
It forces people to think outside the box and look at sleeves differently.
Right.
I feel like we approach the sleeves in similar mindsets.
That's the first
You
thing
saw,
I tried to do.
yeah, you saw the cactus when I saw the cactus. I still
Yeah.
haven't finished my dang cactus. His arms are still unbaked, sitting on my counter. But
They are, Nance. I move them over every time I clean that counter up, and I'm like, is he ever going to come get these damn arms?
well, if you're familiar with like he was in like video games and stuff, but the Cactuar character and his arms are always like this. That's what I wanted mine to look like. So
Well, again, that could be a project we work on for next summer, maybe.
Right.
and what's it called? I still haven't seen anyone do a ghost trap. Like I said, I haven't finished it.
No,
But
nobody's
it's
done that yet.
mostly done. I just really want to sculpt a Slimer, and I'm like
Yes.
hesitant. That's what I don't know. I think I've landed on what I want to do. The backside of my ghost trap, essentially the part that would technically be on the bottom, doesn't have anything on it. I was gonna try to do a topper and have him like, be all big, and I was bothered at how bulky that would be. I think I might just sculpt him like on the side, where it's more like a, superficial type sculpt, one of those. I think that one might work out. I'm not sure.
I'm excited to see it.
You're going to sculpt it?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to get at.
When?
At some point,
We got all weekend. We could do sculpting dates if you want.
maybe.
We can do Christmas Slimer.
I
Christmas Slimer.
I just love when you see something else. You know what I mean? Other than what the sleeve was meant to be.
Like when you saw the rocket ship.
Yeah. And I
What
still
was
haven't
that,
done that.
Was
The
that
pencil.
the rectangle? Oh, it was
The pencil. I
I
saw
saw
the
the
same
pencil.
thing.
Yeah, when I saw the pencil, I was like, that's the rocket. Yeah, that's a rocket ship right there.
The other thing I saw was the Empire State Building
That's
Ooh.
nice.
because it's got all of the facets for each of like the flat facets on the pencil. It reminded me of all of the windows on the Empire State Building.
Fun fact, do you follow their TikTok?
No.
I do, and it's quite enjoyable. You should
Of
check
the
it
Empire
out.
State Building?
Yes, and I've showed you their TikToks
I
before.
don't.
That's where my glitter shaker video came from. I was showing you TikToks for months of the Empire State Building. Remember they got the face? That's the Empire State Building's TikTok account.
I mean, this is like unrelated, but is it like a myth that if you like drop a penny off the Empire State Building, it would leave a crater in the ground, not a crater, but like, indent the pavement or whatever, that it would gain enough. Now I just am wondering what a glitter shaker would do if I dropped it off the Empire State Building.
What happens if you drop a penny off the Empire State Building?
What if I drop a glitter shaker off of tall things and record myself doing it? People are just gonna be pissed.
Simply put, it would fall to the ground. But it wouldn't cause the catastrophic damage popular myth might have you believe. As we've established, a penny can only reach a terminal velocity of around 50 miles per hour due to its mass and shape. I don't know if they'll have the same data on glitter shakers, but
It's too early to math.
right. So we probably won't be doing that.
All right. It was worth a shot.
I got my big D cup. I drink out of this all the time. Probably a few times a week, actually.
It's pretty awkward. You have to have two hands. You have to two-hand it.
Well, usually it's a work cup, so it just stays on the table.
I love that you nailed his creepy ass eyes. Because he just that's
Can you even see them behind the glasses?
yeah, that's what I have the side angle, so I was kind of staring at them, and he's just like, but that's what he's always doing, and it was like an ongoing joke when he was first drawn. We're like, can you do something about his eyes, like make him a little less crazy? Like he's crazy eyeing everybody, and he drew his eyes a little differently the one time, and I think we're like, just put it back the way it was.
You looked at it so long, it became normal.
You're gonna be if when you see what the newest Big D is for the December Quack Pack,
He's wild.
it is amazing, but also the creepy status is like through the roof on this one. He has the blankest stare, and it's amazing.
He stares into your soul.
He does. He truly does.
Big D's gone through a lot. He has gained a lot of weight. He has lost a lot of weight. He's lost his shoes many of times. Sometimes he ain't got no ankles. Sometimes he does have ankles. But Big D's been through a lot. He got
I
big.
love it.
What was it? The summer of 2021, he got really big.
Literally, when he became a superhero, it looked like he ate the other superheroes in order to gain their powers.
I literally had to go to Jason. I'm like, can you call Colin and ask him why he's drawing Big D so
He was giving him
girthy?
a hefty 10 pounds every new drawing. We're like, bro, come on, shave him down some. And then Brian would mess with it because Brian would Photoshop the drawing afterwards and like slim him down.
I don't think I know any company who's done so much with their mascot like the glitter guy. I love all of the transformations that Big D has done over the years. And when I made that cup, I struggled so hard to try to pick the one that I loved so much because they were all so fun. And I think they would all be really cool in a 3D form.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
thought about that so many different times. I'm like, why don't I just like sculpt Big D cups?
You
Even if they're for
should.
myself or something, but maybe
You could sculpt Nancy one.
I should actually sculpt Nancy one. I might sculpt her the newest Big D because he's so creepy. I want to see him on a tumbler.
I'd be really impressed if Jason pulls that through, and I know you can.
Yeah,
You can
yeah, I'm
do
gonna give you a
it.
small spoiler. I won't tell you what he is, but a small spoiler. He has teeth in this one, so it's like so creepy.
Okay, that's different.
The creep level is so high with the teeth.
It'll probably come to you what he is, thinking about the holiday and stuff. It'll probably click for you.
Well, now you're spoiling
I didn't spoil it. You said the next big thing. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know we do it for the holidays or things that are coming to us.
I'm gonna come to you in a second. Complaints.
Does your husband complain half as much as mine
That's
does?
not a 3D tumbler.
Yes. No, this is my coffee tumbler. This is my coffee tumbler. I
didn't
have
know you
other
drank out of
3Ds.
regular tumblers.
It's kind of awkward to have a 3D coffee tumbler. It's hot liquid.
Oh,
It's hot.
I have a different lifestyle than other people. Me taking this around the warehouse and just sitting it on tables and sipping out of it's a little different.
Sarah showed me Daniel's video yesterday, and I was dying.
The TikTok with the jug.
Oh my God, I missed it. I'm behind.
Oh
it was
my
a while.
God.
It was a little bit ago. I think
Oh,
it was
yes,
maybe
the water. Yes, I did
Yes.
see it. It was like the
Dragon-
5-gallon water bottle.
How are you supposed to hold it with 2 hands? Duh. Dude, I'm dying. I was like, this is me. I felt it in my soul. I was like, this is me ranting on Craft Tea like 6 different times about these fucking tumblers being the size of trash cans.
His sassy face and he's
Chris, I gotta show you the TikTok. It's so funny.
Yes.
Yeah, Daniel, the husband owner of Dimensional Drinks, he did like a funny TikTok where they took
I'm
like
gonna
an
send
empty
it to
water
him.
jug and he treated that like it's a 3D tumbler. Like, what do you mean it's hard to use this thing? Fucking, dude, it's so funny. It's so funny.
I swore Jason saw that too.
Uh,
I want to send this in Messenger.
Mhm. This is what we do half of our craft teas is we just look up videos and talk about them.
But that one was really good.
It
It's in
was
the
really
chat
good.
now.
So back to what you were saying about being an RN. When you took a break, was that around pandemic time? Like, did you practice RNing during the pandemic?
Actually, I did not. We moved to Texas in 2017, November. And we moved into our house 2019. And I actually applied for Texas state license. And there were some issues happening there with whatever. I never did follow through with attaining my Texas license. So I haven't been practicing since I've been here in Texas. So no, I didn't practice during COVID. Luckily, because I have 2 senior, my in-laws live with me, so they're both immunocompromised. So that would have been devastating if I brought something home from the hospital.
Right. And you'd be around it 24/7. There'd be no not COVID patients at that time.
Right.
So you just been crafting out and crafting out. Ooh, I was gonna say hanging out and crafting.
Yeah, pretty much for the last almost 5 years. That's what I've been doing, working on cups and trying to build a business. I didn't actually start cups until I think it was 2019. I had been doing all kinds of art up until then. And then I was working on like 3D art, but 3D art on a canvas, right? I was creating all that 3-dimensional effects.
Did you make
I'm
that?
sorry?
He said
No.
quit.
No, not that one. I have some other artwork that you can find on my older social media posts, but I have a friend who was like, you should put your art on a Tumblr. I'm like, why would I put my art on a Tumblr?
Why would I want to do
Like
that?
that's awkward, you know? And she's like, no, you would be so good with it. I think it would be cool and you would be doing things that other people aren't doing. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to make a Tumblr, right? Like she pushed me for a while, and she's the type of person that when she sees something new, she really wants to get out there and craft, and she gets all of the things. She's like, let's just experiment, right?
Let's just try.
So she made me a Tumblr for Christmas, and she's like, see, and she put my logo on it. Like I had my cute little logo for all of my art. She's like, look, it's got your logo. I'm like, okay, this is kind of cute. And so we were like, okay. I'm gonna try it. And I think my first Tumblr was like a wood grain or something. And then I attempted a water slide, and I went through like 6 or 7 different sheets of water slide, and I was like over it really fast. I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. Water slides were a big learning curve at the time. But I spent probably a year and a half, 2 years just experimenting with different techniques. I would watch all of the YouTube videos. I would spend the day watching YouTube videos and watching techniques of what people were doing. And TumblrCon came up. And it would have been my second art convention, but my first Tumblr convention. I'm like, I want to go. And I actually took a class with Nicole Sutherland. And I told my friend, I'm like, we have to make ourselves some really cool tumblers because we're going to be at a Tumblr convention. We can't just be walking around with some, one of our first experiments on a Tumblr. We have to be like badass, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm going to attempt a 3D. Yeah. Yes.
Your first one?
My first one, I'm like, I'm going to do 3D. And I wanted to do a dragon tumbler. But at the time, all of the dragon tumblers that I saw had like eyes and they had
An
little
eye and a
claws
claw.
on it, right?
One
And then
eye,
maybe
one
some
claw.
scales. Right, right. I'm like,
I made one.
that's not what I want. I want something else. I want it to look more dragon-esque, right? So I started experimenting with all the things, and I pulled out a dragon mold, and I actually attached a head. I had the claws. I fashioned wings, and I did a spine with a tail. And I had all of the scales on there, and that was my first 3D tumbler, and I took that to TumblrCon.
Did it come out amazing? Do you still have it?
This was my first 3D, and I saved it. So this was my first 3D.
It's here. It's amazing.
Yeah. So that's my first one. My husband was like, don't you dare get rid of that. So I saved it, and this is my first one.
You used a mold for the for the head and the claws?
Yes. Do you know how hard it is to take epoxy and mold it around a tumbler once it's cured? I had to carve it out. I mean, there was a lot of learning in this
Before your
tumbler.
time, too, because there would be no YouTube videos on how to do that. There at that moment in 2019, you had to be talking if it was the first TumblrCon, right?
Right. That was my first
I didn't see
TumblrCon.
any epoxy videos on that, and I was all over YouTube myself.
Yeah, so the
That's
things
so
that I wanted to
cool.
do with 3D, I couldn't find tutorials for.
Is it my dragon?
Are you looking for your dragon tumbler?
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure it's the one
I want to see your dragon
on the
tumbler.
side near the woodworking room. It's either on one of those shelves or in one of the cubby holes.
All right, I won't look long. I want to look really fast to see if I can find it.
Okay.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Yes, sir.
You'll still be able to hear me anyway.
Oh, because he'll have the mic.
Oh, awesome. So yeah, the things I wanted to do, I couldn't find tutorials for. So it was a lot of me experimenting and getting frustrated and walking away.
I walk away fast. If I can't nail it after one or two tries, I'm like, I'm done. All right, on to the next thing. What else we got?
Exactly. So
Really
it was a lot of trial and error, but I don't know. It was probably my third cup in. I think my third 3D was a witch's boot, and it was for some competition that was happening, some contest of one of the groups that I was in. And they're like, you got to sculpt a witch's boot. And I'm like, okay, well, let me try it. So I grabbed one of the little, it was a 16-ounce travel mug from Stu Magnolia at the time, right? It was just a little thing. I'm like, okay, let's sculpt a boot. Well, by the time I put the toe on there, that thing was humongous. It was like wider than it was tall. But I think that was the first tumbler that I actually went and put all of the details in. I had a sock on the ankle, and I had stitching on the boot and laces.
Well, so this is the one that's more the generic one that you were like talking about that has the eyeball and the claw and then the
Yeah.
scales. But I made one, it never got epoxied, and then it was baked and everything on the tumbler, but the tumbler, because it never got epoxied, I tried to like move it from location to location gingerly.
Instead of baking it.
Well, no, it was baked. Like I said, the problem was I never epoxied the whole thing.
That's
So
what I was about to
eventually the clay separated from the tumbler just from moving it so many times. And with the one that I had sculpted, I sculpted the entire dragon on the tumbler. I'm pissed.
Oh my
I
gosh.
think I tried to preserve the dragon somewhere because it literally like slid off essentially like a clay sleeve. so that it could kind of go back on at some point, but I painted the whole thing with micas. I had a bunch of pictures and videos. It was in our old warehouse when I had done it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I was really trying to get in the clay. I did this and I was like, all right, this is cool, but I want to like sculpt something. And I hand sculpted it, and then I got done and I was like, all right, I want to keep doing stuff like this. And then I never did it again. Like literally until I just started messing with the stuff in October.
We moved shortly after this.
Yeah, we moved warehouses. All my clay stuff got packed up, and I still haven't found all of it, found most of it. But like I had a whole setup in the other warehouse just for sculpting, my little glass mat, my roller, all my different tools. I said I found half of it, but it was nice.
Do you enjoy
Chris, you
sculpting?
missed out on the old warehouse, bro. I'm telling you. The old warehouse was where it was at. We were ready to take over the world, and then we were just too busy. What do
I remember a lot of sitting around.
you mean?
Me, you, Brian, Sean.
I set up a crafting area like 450 times. I made one of them giant clouds out of cotton and paper lanterns.
Oh, I
like
know,
the
'cause-
Chinese lanterns.
Because I cleaned it all up.
And we still have more cotton balls. I can make a wall of cotton balls.
They bought so many cotton balls.
We bought
Nancy.
like industrial size boxes of different colored cotton balls so we could do one. Because the company logo is a cloud logo. So it was right when everyone was like doing the cloud things on their ceilings and they were doing the cloud lightning paper things. And I was like, what? That's like our logo. Why don't we do that, but in different colored cotton? No. The colored cotton balls don't like to like rip up like white, like the plain white cotton balls fluff out easier. The little ones, you're like,
It's like when you rip cotton candy, you know what I mean? And it's just like,
Oh,
not hard, but like stiff.
instead of it, we were trying to fray the cotton balls out so it looked more cloud-like, but the colored ones are so dense and small that we got like tired of it. So we were just like, fuck it, just glue them to it. And then it just looked like colored cotton balls on a paper lantern. It was dumb. It was so bad.
Took me a whole half a day to clean it up.
oh no.
So
I
that's what
haven't
they
done
were
the
doing.
cotton ball one. I've done the coffee filter one, where you take coffee filters and attach it to a paper lantern.
Oh, I've seen that on Pinterest. We have more craft supplies in this. We're like, I call it like the Barney bag. Like this whole warehouse is the Barney bag. We have a little bit of everything, but not total of one thing.
You're like not enough to like really just get into one of the things. So
Also
you'll
cups.
correct.
Tons
But
of
like
that.
you'll come across like one of the items, you're like, oh, a plaster cast? Because we have those. We'd be like, oh, okay, let's do a plaster cast today. But like that's all we have is like you could do the casting, but I don't have any like deep pour epoxy or any like silicone or anything to like do a casting. So that, I would just have a mold. And then I would just be like, guess we'll order something to fill this with?
You'll find that a lot of things Jason says, the excuse winds up being, I can't do that because I don't have a deep pour epoxy. So you can imagine what's on our horizon one day.
Oh.
Not that we have it working, but this man needs a deep pour epoxy. He's got needs.
So I want everything just cast in epoxy.
Like,
Well, it's not like you don't
I
have
would
the
make a
supplies to
tumbler
test
and then
it.
cast the entire tumbler in epoxy.
That would be cool.
Right? Because
That would be
nobody's done
cool.
that shit and it makes no
Nobody's-
sense. That's the
Don't-
stuff that I like. The stuff that makes no sense at all.
I've attempted, but I can't find a mold big enough that fits my tumblers. But I've tried it.
To just encase
Yes.
a tumbler in epoxy. See?
Yes.
Similar minds. I'm
I swear you
talking
guys are
about.
the same person.
I love it. You just see shit and you're like, yeah, that'd be cool if we just locked it up in
That would be
epoxy.
cool on a
Just a bigger
tumbler. We
block
should
of
try
epoxy.
it.
Yeah.
That's funny because it happens with me all the time where I'm talking to someone. I'm like, we're like the same person.
You
But
and
this
Ashley
whole-
Mears.
This whole morning, I'm like, you guys are like literally the same person. Also,
Minus the-
introvert.
Minus the up till 3 a.m. part. Jason falls asleep if it's like a minute past 9:30.
No, I don't know about that anymore, sir. We'd be going to bed at midnight.
Not last night. You might have. You got back up.
I got back up.
I think so.
I didn't get back up.
Oh. I don't know. I was fast asleep.
What did you think I was doing? Crafting? Another funny thing that you guys have in common that I don't think a lot of people may or may not know, you don't eat any meat. You don't eat, you're vegan, right? Or you're
I
vegetarian.
am. I am.
That's so cool.
100%.
You've been that way for a long time?
Since 2016, but I was vegetarian most of my life.
And what got you, what started you on that?
I was a very picky eater.
Same.
I was very picky, and when it came to meat when I was a kid, I kind of left it on my plate. It was the last thing I ate because the idea of eating meat off the bone just grossed me out.
Same.
And then, like, I don't know, do you want me to go into detail? Because I would get grossed out at the littlest things, like, seeing the little tendons, or if you pulled chicken off the bone and you would see the blood, I'm like, oh, I can't eat that. So I would eat just like chicken breast that was boneless and skinless, right?
Mhm.
And then if I cut into a chicken breast and I saw like a little vessel sometimes that was in there, I was like,
Gotta go.
no, I can't do it. I was very picky. And same thing with eggs, like that little white gelatinous thing that's like stuck
You're the
on an
same
egg.
fucking person. It's like it's not even funny. Yeah, I
You
can't.
can't with egg white.
I used to chase that thing around with a fork to try to pull it out, and I'm like, oh. And then the smell of the eggs, I hated the smell of eggs.
Uh-huh.
I was always very picky. And if I ever drank milk, it had to be ice cold, or you had to put like ice cubes in it because I didn't like the taste of milk. So I was always very picky. So when I was 18, the guy that I was dating at the time, he was like, he would do vegetarian like 4 days out of the week, right? And then he would eat meat just a few days out of the week. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I started eating more vegetarian food, and I just stuck with it because that's what spoke to me. And I did that on and off for a very long time. And then I was going through this health kick, and I'm like, oh, let's get healthy. And I decided I was going to do raw vegan, and I went raw vegan just out of the blue. And I'm like, okay. And we were okay. I did it for about 6 weeks, and my husband's like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I need food. I need something cooked. So
He's out in the backyard starting fires.
Yeah, he was over it really fast. He was like, I can't hang. He's like, I'm all for being healthy, but I can't hang. So he went back to eating meat, and it was shortly after that it was just natural for me to go back into a regular vegan diet. And I actually eat better as a vegan than I did as a vegetarian. I was all carbs. I was all like dairy and carbs as a vegetarian.
Right.
And
It's so easy to fall into the pizza French fry habit as a vegetarian.
yes,
Very easy.
absolutely. Absolutely. So I discovered this plethora of vegetables and, all of the meat substitutes. And
How do you feel about mushrooms?
I love mushrooms to a point. I don't like them when they're like jiggly, gelatinous, you know what I
understand
mean?
that. Sure.
But if they're like roasted or sauteed, I'm all for it.
And there's so many kinds of mushrooms. To me, I truly
Many.
believe that mushrooms are the future of food.
Oh, I believe it. And you just can't get away from the umami flavoring that you get with mushroom. It takes all of your cooking up to the next level when you use it for seasoning.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I never thought about it for seasoning.
Hmm.
I like mushrooms, so we don't use it nearly enough. I got to get into it so we can get some mushrooms going on in our life.
I think that's like the biggest issue for not to turn this into a food only conversation, but the common mushroom is just a plain old, like, either portobello is what like Americans look at as the fancy mushroom, and that's still just like a very basic mushroom. There's literally, and there's like so many different textures and types and sizes and flavors of mushroom, and just when people say, I don't like mushrooms, it's like, because you've tried two kinds. I can almost guarantee
Right. You haven't tried the right one.
or you tried just a plain old button mushroom. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. Try a shiitake mushroom, try an oyster mushroom, try any of the other options that are more, they're more like a protein. They're like so much more dense.
Exactly.
It's almost like eating a piece of steak if you get the right mushroom.
Absolutely. Have you tried mushroom jerky?
I didn't try mushrooms. I think the last jerky that I had was you're vegan, so you wouldn't have had it, but it was a seafood one. But what the hell was it?
Was it one from Amazon?
I think it was a
From the
tuna. I
store?
think it was tuna jerky. It's like Wahoo or something like that, maybe. But yeah, I tried that, and that one was okay, but I wasn't looking. It was still very fishy in smell, not so much in taste, and just like smelling fish while I'm eating jerky just didn't. My brain was like, "What's happening right now?"
So you don't eat any fish either.
Mm-mm.
No, that would be pescatarian. No,
That's-
I don't do animal products.
That's so
Yeah,
cool that
yeah,
you
I don't
keep
do
up with
animal
that this long.
products. You know what? My family always, when they're eating something like from outside food, they're like, "Oh, don't you want to just have a bite? Don't you just want to have some? Don't you miss it?" And I'm like, "Actually, I don't. I'm pretty happy. Actually, I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything."
They're missing out.
And that's just
honestly.
how picky of, yeah, really. I mean, that's just how picky of an eater I was. You know, the idea of eating those things just, it made mealtime not enjoyable.
Right. That's where I come in on the food part, is that there's just certain foods that I don't like to eat, and meat was one of them. I love the taste. I actually miss hot wings sometimes, but they have to be very particular because I can't get it off the bone and I can't see the little veiny thing. So it's like, it's so much work. Why am I doing it? And it grosses me out.
I think it took a while for me to really realize that I didn't actually like meat when I was younger because everything had to be well done, burn it. I said, kill it,
Yeah.
cook it, and then cook it again. Like that is what, if I want to eat it, that's how I'm
Yeah.
gonna eat it. And then I'm literally eating just like carcinogens at that point, you know, like I like literally preferred if I need to see char on it. Well, I need to see char on the inside.
Yeah.
Like,
That's how I was with steak.
yeah.
It's like blasphemy to eat a steak well done, but they could not have a hint of pink in there for me. It had to be brown all the way through.
And that was the only thing that I liked eating, with just the littlest bit of pink. And it's funny because that's the thing that put me over the edge. Is I ordered a steak from, we were in Arizona. We went to that Creative Vision, and we were at this super fancy high-rise restaurant. It's like spins on the top of the
Oh
building.
yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And they brought my steak, and I just looked at it and I was like, that's foul. Oh my goodness. It was like almost raw. And I was like, I don't want to eat that. I don't want to eat meat ever again. That was the first time I ever felt like that. Like I was like done.
It was, because I always throw shade, you know, you see in the other episodes that your eating habits and stuff, but it wasn't until I met you that I even ordered a medium steak.
Right.
Everything was well.
Yeah.
All
Right
well.
before he stopped eating meat, he tried it, and you liked it. As long as they cooked it right, as long as it was medium and not medium rare.
But I was just, nope. And then now, none for me, thanks. The only thing that I'd ever missed, just being from the area, was like having a cheesesteak. But there's a place called Dar's right down the street from us that does vegan cheesesteaks, and they
Oh,
literally, to
solid.
me, taste better than a regular cheesesteak. So like, I'm set.
And they're vegan cheese. You could drink it.
Oh yeah, and they have vegan cheese too. So like,
So good. Like when I had it, I'm like, you got the vegan cheese?
which a lot of vegan cheese's base is mushrooms.
Right. Ipso facto, mushrooms.
They're just so versatile. See, full circle.
Absolutely.
This is a podcast about mushrooms. Yeah, right. We talk, but this one's the eating mushrooms, not so much the psychedelic ones. But we can
You
talk
also
about those.
You also eat those.
I would eat those if we had any. Do you got some?
I don't.
We could have a great rest of the day.
I actually take lion's mane as a supplement.
What was that?
I actually take lion's mane as a supplement. Lion's mane mushroom?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you're the connection like cut out some.
Sorry. There we go. How's that?
Perfect.
What is
So lion's mane is a nootropic mushroom, and it helps with focus.
Ooh.
So I actually take it as a supplement.
I need some of that.
I'm telling you, the uses of mushrooms are exponential, and they've just been given a bad rap.
I thought you were gonna try. I thought you were telling me you take a psychedelic mushroom
Oh no.
supplement, and I'm like, because we've talked about that before about
She lives in Texas, right? Texas?
Texas.
Yeah, you're not taking shit in Texas.
I didn't know where this was
You're
going.
lucky if you could take ibuprofen in Texas without getting pulled over. It's
Jason's
nuts.
a little slighted.
Every time we bring up Texas, I'm gonna get gaslit.
Super long story short, one time we went to Texas to see my parents, drove home in a mini truck we bought. But before we can get to the mini truck, we were cruising 7 o'clock in the morning, just got our breakfast. We got pulled over. And the cop searched the car. He swore he was going to get some kind of crazy drug bust, like we were smuggling drugs. My underwear were on the side of the road. He's tearing apart our suitcases. And then he took Jason to jail because we had a very little bit of pot in the car.
And I didn't hide it. I told him as soon as he pulled me over. He was like, "Hey, I smelled marijuana in the car." I was like, "That I have an eighth of weed. It's in the center console."
We also both had medical
I am
licenses.
full transparent. I am literally as goody two shoes as you could get for anyone that's ever broken the law.
He was like,
because I will rat myself out immediately.
He said, "One of you has to go to jail today," and I started crying. And Jason's like, "Well, obviously that's me." And I'm like, "We didn't even talk about this. What do you mean?" And he's like, "What's there to talk about?" I'm like, "I don't know."
And also, we're from Philly. Like, if you told a cop in Philly that you have an eighth of weed in the car, he'll fucking laugh at you.
True.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so stupid.
They took him in and they told me where I can like go to pick him up and stuff. So you have to go get arraigned. Jason walks in and judge is walking out. Jason had to stay the whole day. So this judge, on the day that they got Jason, left early. Next day, judge should be in on time, right? Let's get this going. No, that judge comes in like 4 hours late.
Oh my goodness.
So he really has a bad taste in his mouth about Texas.
Well, I'm sorry.
I have a bad taste in my mouth about privatized prison systems, to be honest with you. Anywhere that has privatized prison systems, I got a problem with. That's a more of a blanket statement. Not exactly Texas. Because even in Houston, if we were pulled over in Houston, they would have just laughed and let us go. Catch and release in Houston. And they also don't have privatized prisons in Houston. So, yeah, a little different.
I'm just learning about privatized prisons, which is funny because I watch all the prison shows.
It's a thing.
It's like every week, it's like bring up a new topic on why Jason hates America.
America. America.
This one.
Let's talk about crafting.
Nancy, what is one struggle let's bring this all back to crafting, right? What's one of the crafting struggles you've had?
Overall, recently.
Well, yeah, whatever popped in your head first when I asked. It could be something in the very beginning, something you think might help other people, or something that's just fun to tell.
The biggest struggle that I had was trying to figure out how to do things on my own, because the things I wanted to do, I couldn't find tutorials for. And
Right.
I struggled with it because, you have all of these grand ideas that you want to see come to fruition. And you're like, how do I make it happen? And sometimes it demotivates you when you can't figure out how to do something and you get frustrated. So that's always been something that I deal with. And the other thing is my confidence. I still question my confidence. I'm still not confident with the materials that I put out there. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. They always question if it's good enough to post on social media, right? They're always concerned what people are going to think, or is it good enough? Or me, the struggle that I have is sending it off to the customer. Am I happy with it? Is it worth what they paid for it? So for me, confidence is another thing that I struggle with when it comes to my crafting. And, I know that I put a lot of time and effort, and I pay attention to detail, but sometimes it doesn't feel like it's enough. And I don't know how to cross that line where I say, okay, I've done everything I can possibly do. It's done now. But I have a really hard time letting go and saying, okay, it's good. I think they're going to be happy with it. I always question myself there.
Right.
You're always going to be your own worst critic, right?
Mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
When you're alone, so I think the hardest part to separate yourself from is like the overall eye of what you made, because you were there during the process. Like, let's say you went back into a paint job with a Sharpie to outline things and you went just off the line a little bit in one spot. Nobody would ever fucking see that, even if they looked it over, because they're just looking at everything. But you're just in your head, you're like, I fucked this whole thing up. I said it when I did this
Mhm.
stupid
Exactly.
technical thing with the Bumble.
Oh, because you spilled a little
Because a
glitter.
little bit was on my hand and it got in the corner. And even like if you really look at it, you can still see like where a little bit of the contamination of glitter is. But like as a whole, the whole thing looks great. It really does. But like for me, I'm bothered by it.
He was so bothered.
I'm still bothered by it, to be honest with you, because I'm just like, I put all that effort in too. And it's like, did I just ruin all the other effort that I put in because of this one little mess up that nobody's actually going to notice?
So although that
And
really bothered you though, and I could tell that bothered you, I was sitting right next to you. You as a crafter have come a long way because 5 years ago, Jason would have just ripped it up on live. F it. It's stupid. Everyone's stupid. I'm going to bed now. That would have probably happened years ago, when he first started crafting, ripped it right in half. He finished it, it's here. He's going to put it in a frame. So
that's awesome. It's hard. It's hard to accept the fact that handmade is imperfect, right?
Imperfectly beautiful.
It is, it really is. And that's what I love about something that's handmade. When something is handmade, you can see that nothing is perfect. You see the hand-drawn lines and you see that maybe these lines are a little wavy. What I love in like doodles or hand-drawn art is the sketchiness of it. I love those imperfections of where they weren't sure where the initial line should go. And I find it beautiful because you're actually looking at the whole thought process of how this whole thing came to fruition. So perfection, nobody's perfect, but how do we make that like a blanket statement and make it something that everyone understands that, hey, tumblers aren't supposed to be perfect. They're handmade. And I see a lot of people struggling with perfection and this little bump there, or maybe there's a slight little wave there, or, there's a piece of stray glitter that got stuck on the tumbler. It's handmade, and the imperfections don't bother me, but it bothers some people to just let go and say, yes, I'm not perfect. It's hard to accept.
I don't like saying it, but it's true.
And just the ways that you said that, like if you see that art in someone else or in something that somebody else made, and you see the imperfections, and you're like, that's really what makes it perfect, right? Is the imperfections. But then if that same stuff came out of your hands, it's not acceptable. And it's like crazy,
I know.
You
It's
look
a
for it
mind
in somebody
game.
else's art, but it's not okay for it to be in your own. And it's a struggle for sure. And I think especially with the 3D sculpting and stuff, that adds like such an extra level of the personal critique, because let's go to Sarah making pencil tumblers, and then that's so much more easier to follow that template and that step by step and make a pencil tumbler and it looked just like Sarah's.
Oh yeah.
But if I want to sculpt Nancy's Dr. Seuss tree, the difficulty level of it looking exactly like your Dr. Seuss tree, it will probably look like a Dr. Seuss tree if I follow the method that you did, but it being indistinguishable from Nancy's Dr. Seuss tree, that's definitely a much different level to achieve. And also, I don't really want it to look just like yours, but there are so many people that will look at theirs and then go back and look at yours and go, it's not as good. It's not the same, so it's not as good. And that's I feel like that's a big struggle.
I do that. I'm not exactly a creative person. I have trouble sitting still. I have trouble thinking about those things. I'll think about it for so long, and then I'm like I've already gone on to something else in my head. I'm no longer thinking about the color palette for that. I'm a great copier. I can deconstruct what you've done and I can reconstruct it. But to come up with the Dr. Seuss tree or even the pencil cup, like I struggle there. I struggle coming up with the ideas, but I can mimic you fantastically, which is a great position for me to be in. I shouldn't be making cups for commission at that point, but.
That's actually quite common though. There's a lot of people who enjoy the craft or they enjoy the arts, but they don't have the ideas. And that's okay. Everyone that's ever done art or a craft has started out by copying somebody else, right? Every great artist replicated the art that they fell in love with. I mean, that's just how it is. So that's okay. And you don't have to make it, and this is a big struggle that a lot of people deal with. You don't have to make it look exactly the same. Everyone is different. I've come to realize. And when I'm teaching, I tell people it doesn't have to be exactly the same. Just make it look related. Same thing with eyes. It's really hard to get eyes symmetrical.
Right.
I don't think people realize how something as simple as two dots is really hard to make it look like it's normal, because just a fraction of it being off center, it looks wonky.
Yeah.
And I'm
So
like,
wonky.
don't stress about it. Don't stress. Just make them look like they're sisters, like they're related. They don't have to be exactly the same. If you make art fun, then you don't have to stress over the tiny little details. It should be fun. It shouldn't be stressful. If you're too stressed out, you need to walk away.
And have 17 open projects.
Yes.
But it's okay to do that. It's okay to walk away and come back. It's okay to walk away and not come back either. Like if this isn't hitting, and that, sit on the shelf for another month and work on this one.
That's
I love
right.
what you said. I really do.
Yeah, it's art is supposed to be fun. It's something different for everybody. It's a stress reliever. It's an escape. It's a time pass. It's just something fun. It is what it is to everybody, and it's always going to be a different reason why somebody finds art or finds crafting. But nonetheless, if you're doing it, it should be fun. It shouldn't be something that you stress out over.
Right.
You're going to make your best work when you're having fun doing what you're doing.
I agree with that very much.
So what was you, because you said that you were doing art for like well before you were working with tumblers. What was your favorite, I guess, medium of art pre-tumblers?
So my two favorites are acrylic painting. I used to do canvas painting. So I love acrylic painting.
Do you have
Yes, I have one over there on the wall. Here, let me get a little one. I'll show you.
Yay!
Show and tell.
Show and tell. It might be a little dusty. Okay, here we go.
Nancy,
I love that.
that's amazing.
That is nothing like Sarah having a cat on a swing from Painting with a Twist. Like that's like legit.
Hey, I love painting with a twist.
Sorry, I was waiting for this. But I love your paintings too, baby.
I'm taking them all off the wall. Everything I've ever done is going right down. I'm gonna just replace it with a framed photo of Nancy.
I probably have like 20 or 30 canvases from Painting with a Twist, because I actually love the paint and sip. I love the socializing of it, to sit in a group and doing something.
Right. And only one of mine was done at Painting with a Twist. The other ones I did in my living room. So he's just talking shit.
You were actually painting often.
Yeah, that's how I
You
started.
really were. Yeah. That's what
Not as good as you, not nearly as good as you.
Yeah.
That was really amazing, man.
That's
That's
beautiful.
crazy.
Thank you. That was from a tutorial. It wasn't something that came out of my brain.
but it came
So,
out of
yeah.
your hands.
Yeah, it came out of my hands. But again, this is a perfect example of copying somebody else's art, right? It was a
So can
tutorial
you draw?
thing.
I assume you can draw, right? So I
To
know
an
sometimes they don't
extent.
cross over.
To an extent, I used to cartoon a lot as a teenager, actually. I enjoyed doing cartooning and drawing. I used to draw Garfield and, all of the little kitty cartoons that we watched as a kid,
Right.
just for fun. But if you were to say, do you draw as an artist? No, I don't have that skill.
Right.
I can totally kick ass on a painting, but if you tell me to sit down and draw something and do all of the shading and the hash marks with the pencil, no, I'm not that great.
You're past the point of stick figures.
Yeah, to an extent, yes. I can make a really cool stick figure.
It's just fun to see how those things translate. Like, no, you gave the list of, all the detailed drawings that you can't do, but you can paint that amazing thing, and that, I find that quite common sometimes. It's neat to find out. I can't get over how good that painting is. That's amazing.
Thank you. And my second love is mixed media. And mixed media is where you just take different mediums and put it together in one canvas. So it could be watercolor, acrylic, or gouache, or it could be like marker and pencils over acrylic paint. if you've ever seen people do like a basic acrylic painting or watercolor painting, and then they go in with their pens or their colored pencils and do all of the shading and detail work.
Ooh.
But I really enjoyed 3D mixed media, and that's where you actually build and create almost like it's almost like a diorama, but more flat. And you create all of this dimension with all of this texture and the grunge. And I get really excited when it comes to texture.
Liz, you
know,
are
throw
a
some-
whole entire artist, girl. You are an actual artist.
Oh, wow.
Do you have any of those? You got any ones with some 3D accents?
I do upstairs.
You're gonna
We
have
don't
to send
need
some
right now. Yeah,
pictures.
If you want me to go get it, if you want to pause, I can go get it.
Sure. We have a few minutes.
That's up to you.
It's up to you. No, it's
You don't
completely
have
up
to
to
go
you.
get it.
We'll send
But-
for pictures later
yeah,
too.
But if you
Okay,
send us
okay.
pictures, we can link pictures.
All right, yeah, I'll post pictures. I'll send you some pictures.
Cool.
I love it.
Right. What time is it?
I don't know.
So yeah, we gotta start winding down.
Okay.
We always have so much fun on Craft Tea, and then we have to go back to work.
I know.
Especially because the short weeks.
We're going on vacation next week.
You are? Where are you going?
Disney.
Oh, I'm jelly. I've never
By the
been to
time this
Disney.
airs, we will have just gotten back.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to go in February. Kelly Burns is doing the JPJ class,
That's right.
and I think they're going to attempt to do like Universal Studios that weekend. So I think I'm going to try to go. I've never been to Disney, so we'll see.
Oh. I was saying, if we're never going, it is a lot. That's what I feel. We've just been going back and forth with our trip coming up. Like if we're shortening it, I think we're going to ultimately shorten it some. It's just like I only feel confident that we can do that because we've gone so many times that I don't feel as attached. Although I am having troubles because Sarah gave me the list of days I can cut off, and I'm like, but then I can't do this, and I can't do this, I can't do this. So there's a lot to do, but it's really fun.
I was just gonna say, what if we went in February, and then I thought about all the things that are happening in January and February, and you'd probably
No.
divorce me.
No, we have very important things in February.
That's
But it'll be fun.
exciting.
It'll be good. We'll make good
You guys
content.
are always busy. You guys are always creating fun content, like you said. And you guys, you always have the fun things that come out, all your little boxes. Like, you can't
Yeah.
get bored. You've always got something going on.
We tried. I think there was a period of time, probably right around Alex coming, that we kind of like died off for a little bit. It was like right before and then much after, where I was just like gone and Jason was a little gone, and we've been trying to get back into it. It's so hard. I didn't think it was going to be that hard to jump back into everything after having a baby, and I didn't even think it was. I didn't realize how hard it was even at the time. So we're trying. We're trying to get back in there.
Yeah.
One of
My
us is
gosh.
in there.
Which one?
Man, this was made during a really cool episode of one of those crafting things. We're just surrounded by things that Jason made. Oh, yeah, I made one of these. What
Holy
else?
cow.
That over there? Yeah, I made this.
You're welcome for keeping the show running so that you could have time to do that. You're welcome.
On.
Did you hear me?
I'm trying to admire my art. Someone has to.
I'm gonna hurt him.
You need to be
after this.
displaying your 3D tumblers. Where's all those beautiful 3D tumblers?
Where's all your beautiful 3D tumblers?
At my house. That's where we actually are supposed to craft, but then
He
I
doesn't
haven't
finish
this week.
any of them, Nancy. They're just sitting on top of the dream box in pieces, or on my countertop in pieces.
listen,
I'm
you
looking
came
forward
to
to
me
seeing-
like 2 days ago and you were like, I was cleaning up back there and I realized that there's like 20 unfinished tumblers and they
Right.
just really need epoxy.
Right,
You said they were pretty much yours.
right. But yours are still up there because yours can't be put into the graveyard.
You
bin.
don't touch mine.
I touched all of them. Touch, touch, touch. The one you can epoxy though, right? The waterfall one.
I'm just really not sure how I'm going to approach that one.
Well, you send Nancy pictures and you ask Nancy what Nancy would do.
Well, so really with my waterfall one, I wanted to do something similar to kind of like what you're saying with the canvas art that you like to do, how there's like just like three-dimensional accents coming off. I wanted the walls that the waterfalls come off of to have like steps and stuff built kind of like onto them. And that's honestly the only reason I shelved it, because I couldn't find a good way to to apply that and it like looked good. I don't know. I was like trying to sculpt it out of clay at first and it wasn't working. And I was like, maybe I can find something like that exists that I can make it look like steps. But I don't know. It's like, I'm just not completely happy with the idea enough to put epoxy on it. That's where I'm at.
Well, you know how you would put epoxy on it.
I still have no idea how I'm going to do that, but.
Well, I can help you. I paint my epoxy on with a little paintbrush to get in all the details. But when you're thinking about 3D, don't just make clay. There's lots of things that you can attach to a cup that's not clay. I've done all kinds of things. I've done resin, I've done wood, I've done chipboard. There's lots of things that you can use when you're doing a sculpt.
Right. And I always send pictures and videos to my friends when I'm stuck. I've even sent pictures and videos to Nancy on cups I've done. And it's fun. It's fun. It gives you a reason to talk to your friends. It helps you because they're going to give you answers that you wouldn't have even thought of. And then sometimes I get answers from my friends and it's not even the answer I wanted, but it led me to my solution. And then another piece of advice that you'll definitely never take, get a little video chat date, craft date. I do those. I would like to do more of those.
I know we were winding down, but one more thing it's related. But it was one of the things that I think a struggle, because like you said, when you were starting to do some things that you couldn't find tutorials for and stuff, for me, when I'm trying to do something that it doesn't seem that anyone's done before, I start wondering if like, is this correct? And then we were talking about this on the way home yesterday. It's like what's my definition of correct? Like the right way. If I'm the one pioneering it, is it my way the right way? Like what's wrong with my way? We had those questions about, I asked Sarah why we can't just put clear coat on tumblers.
He asked me this in 2018. 6
years ago. And she's like, because you just fucking can't. And I'm like, oh, okay. But like, why? I said like, I said this this will have aired the week prior, but I said it to Jen from Artistic Painting Co. Like nobody that I've heard on the news has licked a car and like went and died of cancer or something, right? Like, and that's like the way that I feel like I need to word it. I feel like I have to word it that way because if I bring this up and if I made a post in Tumblr Hacks today, it was like, guys, you could not believe what I just figured out. You could spray 3 coats of 4K clear coat on a plain tumbler, and that's an acceptable finish coat. And I would get so much flack from everyone. Be like, no, you can't. You're going to die of cancer tomorrow if you do that. And I'm like, you go out right now and start licking your car, and you count the days until you die.
Oh my God.
Because it's going to be the same amount of days, unless you didn't wash your car in a long time.
It's the fear of the unknown.
I know like the way that I'm like saying it is the most like asinine way, but I feel like I have to portray it in that way to kind of get my message across. You know what I mean? Like to just go so ridiculous.
You're not wrong.
But with that, we were watching, just to expand a little bit, we were watching Face Off and stuff, and I'm watching them do these monster makeups and these professional makeups, and it's being judged by professionals in the industry, and they're just like, some of the methods is toilet paper and paper towels and just crumbling that shit up and then like mixing that with a little bit of latex, and that's how you get the right texture. And they're getting judged and they're like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen by like industry professionals. And I just feel like there's like just that thought in the back of my mind that if I'm putting paper towels or toilet paper or anything on anything, then I'm going to be looked at as like a hack, you know? Like that's not how you do it. That's like, what are you, like cheap and don't know what you're doing? But like, that's not. So I thought that was related to what you were saying. Work with something other than clay to put the steps on. But in my brain, it's like that logic block that's like, no, you clay tumblers.
It's that cup logic. You're stuck in it now.
I'm telling you, yeah. It's like this. It's this logic that like was created for no fucking reason at all, because there really shouldn't be boundaries on making and crafting, right? Like,
what makes something a standard? What makes something a standard? It's multiple people that say, "Oh yes, this is acceptable. This works." Right? It has to be done multiple times for someone to say, "Oh yeah, that works." Who decided to put foil under your clay on a tumbler? Do you think it's any less of a sculpt because now you have foil under there to build up your sections before you play it? No.
Right. And that's been the standard, right? To build with tinfoil. That has been standard forever. Like I knew that before I started messing with the tumblers. I was like, you use tinfoil, right? To do that. And then, but now what seems to be, and obviously it works for different reasons, but like a 3D printed plastic is a base because it's more lighter weight. It holds its form a little better. I don't have to go through the steps of creating the form because it comes as already a round shape. So now it's like, but does that make tinfoil bad?
No, you use tinfoil
right?
in the tray, right?
Right.
Yeah, I do. I use tinfoil to build up the sections that I want to play on. And there's different reasons to do it. One is it cuts down material. Two is it forms your shape so that you know you have like a guideline where you want to go with your clay. But I mean, back to Jason's comment, does having a 3D printed sleeve make you any less of a 3D artist because now you put a sleeve on somewhere? No, it doesn't. Because what are you doing with that sleeve? You have a blank canvas, right? Now you've got to make a vision with that blank canvas. And, even if you're just painting it, you've attached that to a tumbler, you've epoxied that. It's not easy to epoxy a 3D tumbler, but you've gone through the steps to create this tumbler. So now you're a 3D artist. Don't think you're any less of an artist because all you did was paint the sleeve. There's so many ways to get to the end result, whether you're sculpting it, whether you're building it, or whether you're just attaching it and creating it. You did that. You did it.
That's what I completely agree with you. I said that we should do a comparison video on how it works out. But another example for me is like in ways that you can make a tumbler or your project on a tumbler glow, right? And what's the right way and what's the wrong way? I have glow-in-the-dark glitter. I have glow-in-the-dark mica powder. There's glow-in-the-dark printed vinyl. There's glow-in-the-dark spray paint. There's, so which way is the right way to make it glow? Because you'll see questions like that. And those are things that maybe gaslight me a little bit in like Tumbler hacks. Somebody might post a picture of something that glows and it wasn't theirs. They'll be like, hey, I saw this tumbler and it glows in the dark. How would I approach this? And you'll get all these answers of people that are a little too matter-of-factly for me in their responses. You use mica powder, you use spray paint, and it's like, can you just add the word can to that? Because now you created this like false fact in that person's mind that's like, oh, okay, if I'm making that tumbler, it's with mica. I don't know. Try something else out. Maybe that one was made with mica, but if you did it with spray paint, it'll be more vibrant, or it took an extra step out of the process. Or there's just like so many ways to skin a cat. And I think those are the things that maybe gaslight me a little bit, or the ones that decide for you that this is how you do it, and then like you're wrong if you did it a different way.
And one person's technique may not work for you. I mean, there's a lot of things to consider. It's the quality of the supplies, it's your climate, it's your temperature, what supplies are available to you. Not everybody has access to all of the supplies,
Right.
So you have to do what works for you. And I agree with you. There should be a list of things that there's multiple different ways to approach it. Everyone does it differently. Here's how I would approach it. That's usually the best way to approach a question. This is how I would do it. And my ways may not be correct. It may not be the standard, but this is what works for me.
Right.
I feel like I say that in like almost all my tutorial videos that I do anything. I'm like, this is how I'm going to be doing this craft. This is not the only way to do this craft.
Right.
By all means, please do it a different way, because I already have this version. I don't need another one. Do it another way. Paint it fucking red. I don't care. Just do something different about it. That's just one of my things.
Okay, I like it. Jason said he's going to get crafty tonight. And we didn't get to talk about foils, but Jason will be using foils tonight, he says.
Those are one of the things that really helped me in just, I know I just keep expanding on the same discussion. We're supposed to be stopping.
Oh, I mean, we have like 5 minutes or whatever.
But it was when we talked to Jen, for you, it will be last week, but when I talked to Jen from APS yesterday, and she was showing me one of like the cleats that she made for her son, And she's like, yeah, and like, this is the product that I use to apply the foils to the cleats. She's like, I'd never used it before. And I'm like, we just had conversation of how you've been doing this shit for 30 plus years and you still are willing to try out a new product.
And it was expensive.
Like you of all people should be the one to say, this is how you put foils on something and this is what you use. But that law doesn't exist in her mind because she's an artist. And I fucking love that. Like that, when I saw that, I was like, holy shit, what? Like, I was like, this is amazing.
I still have it written down.
Yeah, she wrote down what she used because I was like, I want to try it. But it's like, I love that she's willing to continue experimenting, even though she carries products. She manufactures products to apply foils, but it's still like, you know what? There might be a better way.
I think experimenting is the best part about crafting art, because you experiment when you're trying to technique, you're experimenting when you're trying to do supply, you're experimenting when you're trying to do design. You know, that's where all the fun is. You never stop learning. You never stop learning. There's always something new. There's always a new way to approach something. You never stop learning. Don't ever stop learning. Please don't ever stop learning.
I love that.
All right, I'm really done. I honestly could keep going, but we're done.
Nancy, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. This has been awesome.
Yes.
I'm going to get better at this last minute thing. I have a list, like literally all the time, of people I want to hit up, and you've been on that list. So me hitting you up last night was completely inappropriate, but I am, blessed that you came through because we really had a good time this morning.
Yeah, this is good.
If people want to follow you and find you, where can they find you?
You can find me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Art by Nancy.
And you help out in Dimensional Artists too, right?
Yeah, I'm a brand ambassador for Dimensional Artists. So if you go and join the Facebook group, it's free. You can get a lot of inspiration. There's some wonderful artists in that group.
Dimensional Drinks is free.
Yeah, Dimensional Drinks is free.
I said artists, my bad.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, Dimensional Artists
I
is
messed it up.
group. They have some great tutorials if you're interested in learning.
So you have a tutorial?
Dimensional Artists.
You have a tutorial coming up in there, or you just did one?
I do. Next month, I'm teaching Care Bear.
Maybe Jason will actually do it because I was this close to pulling his paid DA.
She'd be paying for my subscription, and I'd just be not participating because I just am doing other stuff.
I'm not participating, but I'm in there. I'm looking. I'm talking. I'm at least. I feel like I got my $30, you know what I mean? But I don't feel like we got his. So I'm going to need him to do something and get out. So maybe he'll do the Care Bear.
Yeah, do your spin of the Care Bear. Mine's a Swear Bear.
But if I do the Care Bear, then I have to do it's Braveheart, right? He's the one that's the lion.
Oh, I don't know. You're testing
your Care Bear knowledge?
Yes,
I'll be prepared for this, Nancy.
I'm older than you. Oh my gosh, it's been probably longer since I've watched Care Bears.
And well, so I get it. I get it because of my sister. So we watched Braveheart. Is the lion.
Now you know.
So you're welcome. But now I'm gonna figure out how to put a lion's mane on a tumbler. I feel like that's the challenge that I want to give myself.
You can do it.
He'll post it in DA before the Christmas.
Yeah, before. That's good. That's real.
Before Christmas. Oh, wow.
I'll post a lineup of all my finished sculpted tumblers.
Just
the whole lineup before Christmas.
You have the time. He has the time. We all have the time. There's like 6 weeks. You got it.
We're going to get it done. I'm going to get it done. We're getting it done.
Hold him to this, Nancy. He's getting kicked out on Christmas Day if he does not produce this photo.
Fun fact.
Shunned.
Not all of my tumblers have a final photo. I post photos. No, you can still post photos. You can just final photo.
That is Sarah knows all about that. Sarah just epoxies half a tumbler.
I don't know why he keeps coming for me.
Sarah's figured that part out. She's like, you know what? What if I do put epoxy on it, but not like the whole thing? Because we just got to take a picture from this angle.
Nancy,
you know what I mean?
My patience. And it wasn't even epoxy. It was UV resin. I have all the plans in the world to do the other side. It's just that's where I stopped at the moment to go do something else, and that was 3 months ago. I am who I am.
All right, this has been lovely. Let's get back to work.
And never bring the kettle to the pot.
Now, pour the tea.